Hi, and welcome to NTD China News. I'm Karen Chang. Making headlines this Tuesday, April 23rd. A new flare-up between Japan and China. In the wake of the Sichuan earthquake, distrust surfaces towards China's Red Cross, and an official inquiry rejects claims of torture at this labor camp, but not everyone is convinced. There's been a new point of tension on the East China Sea. A group of Japanese nationalists ventured towards the disputed Diaoyu or Senkaku Islands, but a fleet of Chinese vessels stopped their advance, and now Japan's Prime Minister has issued a harsh warning.
A flotilla of boats carrying more than 80 Japanese nationalists departed late Monday for waters near disputed islands in the East China Sea. Called Diaoyu in China and Senkaku in Japan, the islands are thought to be rich in oil, natural gas, and large fishing reserves. China had 3 vessels around the island already, but ordered another 5 to come in when the Japanese boats arrived early Tuesday morning. Upon the arrival of the Chinese patrollers, the Japanese flotilla turned back at the request of the Japanese coastguard. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe warned in a parliament meeting today that if any Chinese ships tried to land on the islands, they would be expelled by force if necessary. The flotilla of 10 Japanese boats was chartered by the nationalist group Ganbare Nippon, which means Stand Firm Japan. They came there to survey the rich fishing grounds that surround the islands.
This is all about asserting our ownership of the islands, going there to conduct a fishing survey to prove that Japanese fishermen can indeed make a living there.
They said they weren't planning to land on the islands or do anything that would be seen as provocative by China. Tensions over the uninhabited islands flared after Japan's government purchased them from its private Japanese owner last September. This sparked violent anti-Japanese protests across China, hurting the already rocky relations between the two neighbors.
Top military officers from the United States and China are meeting in a joint effort to improve relations. But with tensions high and the combined threat of North Korea, finding grounds to agree on may prove difficult.
It's the highest level military talk between the U.S. and China in 2 years. Top U.S. military officer, U.S. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Martin Dempsey, met with Chinese leader Xi Jinping today. Though there was much fanfare, tensions are high between the U.S. and China. The U.S. is beginning a military pivot to the Asia-Pacific region as China builds its military and tests the bounds of its power over the region. Beijing has criticized the United States for increasing tensions in the region by increasing its military presence.
We seek to be a stabilizing influence in the region. And in fact, we believe that it would be our absence that would be destabilizing, not our presence.
General Dempsey arrived in China on Sunday, April 21st as part of a week-long Asia tour. The general and his counterpart, Chinese Chief of the General Staff of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, Fang Fenghui, held a meeting on Monday in a gesture to improve military relations between the two countries. Views on international and regional issues were addressed, along with increased concern about cybersecurity. The United States has an increasing amount of evidence that recent cyber attacks on American companies and government agencies have originated from the Chinese military. North Korea has also been a topic for concern. China is North Korea's main diplomatic and financial backer and has criticized the U.S. military presence for provoking Pyongyang. In recent months, however, China has begun to express its own impatience with the rogue regime.
North Korea held their 3rd nuclear test, and it is very likely they are going to hold their 4th test. In this situation, we ask all sides to work on the North Koreans to stop the nuclear tests and stop producing nuclear weapons.
General Dempsey has already visited South Korea and will travel to Japan next.
It's been 5 years since the 2008 earthquake that devastated Sichuan, and in the aftermath of the latest earthquake in the area, it seems lessons were learned from the last time about how aid should be donated. People in Hong Kong and mainland China are showing extreme skepticism of charitable organizations and where exactly their hard-earned donations will truly be going.
After the devastating earthquake in Sichuan province over the weekend, support for quake victims flooded in. But there's one area where support is still lacking: money. Distrust of the Red Cross Society of China and the donation system in general has left many wary of sending in money, fearing that it'll end up lining the pockets of corrupt officials. Members of Hong Kong's Pan-Democracy Party are warning against a donation drive in Hong Kong.
I believe that the mainland victims are in need of aid, but we need an honest anti-corruption system that can really save the victims from hardships and protect the money donated by people in governments from falling into the pockets of corrupt officials.
After the 2008 Sichuan earthquake, money flooded into the region, but a series of embezzlement scandals that saw public funds redirected into private pockets left many skeptical of China's aid distribution system.
All of us had such a negative experience. It is a big question of how much the fund will be spent on the victims if the remittance goes through the Sichuan government for distribution. We are never against disaster relief. However, we will not be happy if the aid fund goes through the government and does not arrive in the hands of the victims.
Hong Kong's chief executive Liang Chunying has called for a relief package of almost $13 million from the government. But a poll by South China Morning Post shows that an overwhelming 92% of respondents said there should be no money donated. The Chinese Red Cross Society is not affiliated with the well-known International Red Cross organization. Rather, it is closely tied to the Chinese government and has been criticized for its lack of transparency. Photos have been turning up online of Red Cross staffers standing with empty donation boxes. At the same time, independent charity groups have sprung up and have apparently superseded what is known as China's largest charity. The Sina Micro Charities, just established in February, have already collected $13 million in aid. The Red Cross has only gathered about $10 million.
The expose about the abuse of women inmates at the Masanjia labor camp drew a lot of attention from ordinary Chinese because, for the first time, the claims were reported by a Chinese media. That caught the attention of authorities in Liaoning province, but an official inquiry into the abuse claims has not proved very convincing.
It was a short and swift investigation after gruesome accounts of torture emerged from Liaoning's Masanjia women's labor camp. The only problem is, very few people believe the conclusion of the official inquiry report. On Friday, April 19th, authorities from Liaoning province flatly denied the claims made in the article Walking Out of Masanjia. Published on April 6 by Lens magazine, the accounts of torture and slave labor by former inmates sent shockwaves through the Chinese internet.
You can't place hope in Liaoning's investigation. It's responsible for the crimes. How can it investigate itself? It can only cover up the truth. The investigation needed to involve a third party, even international groups. Liaoning's one-sided findings won't be convincing to the public.
The official team of investigators included the former head of the Masanjia labor camp. Others were officials from Liaoning's Judicial Department and Reform Through Labor Commission. In other words, the same system that is alleged to have committed the abuse carried out the so-called probe. Yuan Lin, the Lens magazine reporter who wrote the article, has defended his work. On his Sina Weibo microblog account, Yuan challenged Liaoning authorities to sue him for fabricating the article and present their evidence in court. A former colleague of Yuan has also thrown support behind his piece.
I believe Yuan's journalism ethics. What he said is true. He used to be a colleague at Beijing News. He has good standing in China's media industry and he won't fabricate anything. If he didn't have the evidence, he would not do the report. I know he has already investigated Masanjia for several years.
The investigation findings, first published by state-run Legal Daily, were reportedly based on a thorough 10-day inquiry, including interviews with witnesses. But before the findings came out, former inmates named in the magazine article say police harassed and threatened them to not say anything.
And coming up after the break, Yahoo is shutting down its email service in China. This wife of a Nobel Peace Prize winner gets a rare chance to tell the world she is not free under the Chinese regime. And reactions from these giant pandas moments after the Sichuan earthquake. And welcome back. U.S. internet giant Yahoo announced on Monday it is terminating its China-based email service. Users are being encouraged to sign up with AliYun, a service provided by Yahoo's partner Alibaba Group. Yahoo will officially end its email service on August 19th. Yahoo has provided email service in China for more than 10 years, but it's been operated by Alibaba since 2005. Many believe that it's likely Yahoo will withdraw out of China completely in the near future. The company's rival Google has also been shutting down most of its internet services in China in the last few years. China's internet market has been challenging for U.S. providers. In 2007, Yahoo was criticized by human rights groups for giving information about a dissident account holder to Chinese authorities, leading to his arrest and jailing. Liu Xia, the wife of Chinese Nobel Peace Prize laureate Liu Xiaobo, took advantage of a rare moment of freedom to tell reporters she was not free. She attended the trial of her brother on Tuesday morning. Liu Hui is accused of fraud, but Liu Xia and his defense attorneys believe the trial was aimed at her because the case had been settled before Liu Hui was arrested. Liu Xia has been under house arrest in Beijing since 2010. This was the first time she has been seen in public in more than 2 years. After the trial, Liu Xia yelled at the media, "When they tell you I'm free, tell them I'm not." Liu Xia told the Associated Press that she had always relied on her brother for support. She believes his trial was targeted to, quote, break one leg and then break another. Chinese authorities have been known to go after family members of dissidents and activists. Liu Xiaobo is serving an 11-year jail term for so-called subversion. One of 3 people killed in the Boston Marathon bombings was laid to rest on Monday. Liu Lingzhi's family came all the way from Shenyang City in Liaoning province to attend her memorial as tributes flowed from Liu's former friends and classmates.
Hundreds of people attended a memorial service at Boston University for a student killed in last week's Boston Marathon bombings. 23-year-old Liu Xia had been watching the race near the finish line when one of the bombs exploded. Liu was a graduate student from China's Liaoning province. She was studying statistics at the school. Her advisor said she was an excellent student and hoped the scholarship started in her name would carry her potential.
She was doing very well in all aspects of her courses and had finished taking her qualifying exams just 2 days before her death. In fact, she passed those exams with flying colors, although she did not live long enough to hear the final results.
Some of her friends and teachers spoke about her infectious smile and outgoing personality.
We will keep running to finish the race for you, and we will try to realize your unfinished dreams. We have learned to cherish every moment and every person in our life. May you rest in peace, my beautiful angel.
After the service, Liu's family, seated in the front row, thanked the audience and bowed in appreciation.
The earthquake this weekend in Sichuan province hasn't just affected humans. Pandas near the epicenter of the earthquake were caught on camera, frantically trying to climb to safety. And don't worry, no pandas were harmed.
Surveillance footage from Baifengxia Panda Base during a 6.6 magnitude earthquake that struck Sichuan province this weekend. The frightened panda scurries for the nearest tree, but seems to think better of it when the tree starts to shake. The panda preserve is located in Ya'an, just over 30 miles from the epicenter of the earthquake.
They have definitely been affected by the quake, and we have taken some measures to calm them down. Our breeders will spend more time with them to ease their strained nerves.
The pandas are being given extra treats to calm them down, and extra playtime with breeders has been prescribed for the little ones. For some pandas, this is their second earthquake. The base is home to 61 giant pandas. Nearly half were moved here from Wulong Nature Reserve after the devastating 8.0 earthquake that struck the Sichuan province in 2008. Perhaps it was the memories of those troubled times that caused such pandemonium.
And that's all for this broadcast of NTD China News. For more of our China content, visit our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel, NTD on China. Coming up next is China Focus with Charlie Zhang. Stay tuned.